Hi. To dye or not to dye was a question that Hamlet posed himself, but it's one that a lot of older women think of when their hair starts to change colour as they get older. My name is Tricia and I'm founder and MD of Look Fabulous Forever, and we make a range of makeup specifically formulated for older faces, eyes and lips. In this video we're going to show you great products to use both on your hair and your face, so that if you decide to let nature take its course, you'll end up looking really fabulous. This is Jane, and Jane founded a company called White Hot Hair around the same time that I founded Look Fabulous Forever, and we're basically appealing to the same demographic. So I just want to ask Jane, why did you think that products needed to be different if you've got white or grey hair?
Well, the first thing about white and grey hair is that it's very porous. So if you think about rubbing a grubby finger down a white wall, that's a little bit how it is with white and grey hair. It picks up dirt and it can get very brassy and have a yellowy tone that you might have seen. So specialist products will help give that a super cleanse. Nothing's worse than white and grey hair that looks on the yellowy side.
Okay, so in fact, like me, you thought there's no products out there that really fit the bill now that I've got white hair. I felt the same about makeup. There's no makeup out there that really fits the bill now that I'm older. So we both had the idea almost simultaneously, and the result has been the two companies that we founded. I actually use the White Hot Hair zhuzhing cream, which is absolutely fantastic. My hair, after I watched it, is quite soft, and it just puts some life and some body back. So what we're going to do now is to show the makeover using the White Hot products and also using the Look Fabulous Forever products. So I really hope you enjoy it. So our model for this video is Yvonne, and as you can see, Yvonne has absolutely beautiful white hair, and the makeup artist is Linda, who's going to be applying the makeup. So the first product that Linda is going to use on Yvonne is our base 3, and she's actually mixed that with a very small amount of primer. You can use primer two ways. You can either put it on first, let it dry, and then apply the base over the top. And the effect of the primer is just to seal any open pores or fine lines that you've got, and it forms a wonderful base on which to put your foundation. Linda's mixed the two together, which is just a shortcut. It goes on equally well and still does its job, but mixed with a base, it then becomes a lovely way to just smooth onto the skin and create a very polished, finished effect. You can see that Linda's using the foundation brush, which is brush 3, and she's just buffing that product into the skin, and it's into rather than onto the skin. The reason for using a foundation, we call it base, is that it unifies the skin tone and just evens out any irregularities that there are on the face. We're actually using base 03 on Yvonne. You can see that she has a slight tan, probably because she lives near the seaside, and she's got this lovely healthy glow about her, and she's also got really pretty freckles. So we're not going to completely cover those up. So just working the product into the areas that the face seems to need it most. You're not creating a mask, you're just putting it onto your skin. And if you think about it, people look at your face at the centre of your face, and that's where you need to concentrate the foundation. After foundation comes concealer. This is a more heavily pigmented and slightly denser cream than the base, and the purpose of this is always just to add any extra covering that you feel that you need. So you can see that Linda is putting it around the base of the nose, patting it in with her fingers, using concealer brush 4, and she's kind of stippling it onto the skin, which is really the best way to apply it. Underneath the eye and perhaps into the corner of the eyes as well. Yvonne actually has really beautiful skin, so she doesn't really need very much in the way of concealer, but that small amount that Linda is applying is just enough. Everything about the base and the conceal working together is about evening out the skin tone that you've got. So next, eye primer. So this is our second primer, and you can see it's flesh coloured. This is very useful if you've got any discoloration on your eyelids. Linda's applying it with the sponge applicator and then just making sure that it's perfectly absorbed using her fingers. What the primer is going to do, it's going to allow any product that you put on top to stay in place for longer. One of the problems that we have as we get older is that makeup tends to disappear after about 2 or 3 hours, and that's because our skin is extremely absorbent and dry. And if your eyelids are slightly crepey, again you have this problem that things don't stay put. And obviously the eye primer will really help to overcome it. So onto the brows, using the brow brush. You can see that Yvonne has got brows which match her hair, which is obviously a good thing. But they do lack definition and they are quite short. So what Linda is doing with the brow shape, which is a liquid paint in a very dark brown, and that sounds a bit counterintuitive if you think it's going on to Yvonne's greying brows, but actually it will bring back some definition to that area. And Linda's using it very lightly, using these light feathery strokes. And you can see there that that is absolutely perfect with Yvonne's colouring. So Linda's just completing the other eyebrow. There is a certain amount of technique involved in mastering the brow shape, but I promise you, if you've used it 2 or 3 times, you'll see exactly what you have to do with it. It isn't difficult, and the effect is instant and makes a huge difference. When you have white or grey hair, you've obviously lost quite a lot of colour from what you had when you were younger. So Yvonne was telling me earlier that she used to have extremely dark hair, so she's gone from having quite dramatic hair to having very, very light and this gorgeous white hair. Now, clearly, if you lose that much definition and you lose that much colour, then you need to find ways to put it back. And one of the ways is putting the colour back into your eyebrows. And of course, the second way to do it is to start adding definition to your eyes. So what Linda is using here, she's using our eye shade Aubergine. This is a really pretty sort of deep purpley colour, and it's absolutely perfect with Yvonne's white hair. So Linda is putting it over the eyelid. You can see with her eyes shut exactly where Linda has put it, and then she's just doing that on the other eye. Using brush 7, which is a perfect size and shape just to get the right amount of colour onto the eyelids. So now using a finer brush, which is our brush 5, and the same shadow, which is Aubergine, Linda is putting a small amount of that powder shadow underneath Yvonne's eyes, just in the corner. So about 1/3 of the way along and out to the outer edge. This is about creating a nice soft look. If you put a very hard black line underneath Yvonne's eyes, it would be really quite unattractive. It would close her eyes down, and again balancing out the white hair that she's got would be very, very much too heavy. So now onto our Silver Mist lid colour. This is a creamy product, and it looks quite scary in the container, but it's actually an incredibly pretty colour once you've got it on. So Linda's going to apply this again with a brush, and she's going to put it in the inner corner of Yvonne's eyes. So outer corners with the aubergine eye shade and the inner corners with the silver mist lid colour. And those two together just creating the prettiest effect. These colours would work well if you were blonde or if you actually have dark hair. But if you have white hair like Yvonne's, these are just so pretty and really perfect. Yvonne has cool toned skin, and that means that she suits these kind of shades perfectly. So good colours on Yvonne would be bright pinks, fuchsia, purple. The colour that she's wearing is obviously perfect. And now Linda's just blending those colours to make sure there are no sharp edges and everything looks quite subtle and soft. So eyelash curling, very, very carefully, just making sure that you trap the eyelashes and not the eyelid, which is extremely painful. And the effect of curling your eyelashes is quite dramatic, especially if they've become quite sparse. So curling the lashes back, ready for the mascara. So our mascara is black, and Linda's going to start by putting it onto the bottom lashes using the end of the mascara wand and just making sure that each individual lash is well coated. And again, if you don't usually put mascara on your bottom lashes, it's quite a good tip to do so. And the reason for that is that if you put the mascara on your upper and your lower lashes, it obviously makes your eyes look bigger. So our mascara will thicken your lashes. You're putting an extra coat on, so you're obviously going to thicken them. But it doesn't have extra filaments in for the lengthening effect. Some of you might like to use that kind of mascara, which is fine. I personally think that that's quite difficult when you're older. If you have very long, spiky eyelashes, it can look a bit odd. Much better just to thicken them. And then if you've curled them first, the mascara will just add that extra layer that you need of definition. And as I said before, just make your eyes look bigger. So I hope you can see there the effect of the silver mist lid colour in the inner corners of Yvonne's eyes. It's just a really pretty effect. And then with the aubergine on the outer edges, it's really opened Yvonne's eyes up. It's also made her eye colour really pop. She's got very pretty blue eyes. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do to Yvonne, we're going to add some blush, and we're going to use Rosy Glow, which is a really pretty pink blush. This is going to be perfect with her colouring. If you've got white hair or silver hair, grey hair, then using this very pinky blush is perfect. I always think with an older face, blush is absolutely critical. And preferably a pink tone blush rather than a brown or an orangey tone blush. You can see the effect on Yvonne's face pretty much instant in terms of lighting it up. And you can see where Linda is putting it. Some people think that blush should go on the apples of your cheeks, but actually that will be too low down. So feeling for your cheekbones and patting the blush onto the cheekbones and then pulling it out to the outer edges as well. And last but not least, we're going to use a lip primer, and this is our third primer. And again, it's going to do its job of making sure that your lipstick stays on your lips and doesn't go into the edges. in a sort of like a feathering and bleeding around the outer edges of your mouth. So you apply it with the sponge applicator and let it dry. Make sure that you put it on the very edges of your lips. This isn't a lip balm, it's actually specifically to seal the edges. And as soon as it's dry, you can then apply your lip colour. And the lip colour that we've chosen for Yvonne is our most vibrant for cool toned skins, and it's called Cherry Red. And this is going to be particularly pretty on Yvonne. It's going to go beautifully with the eye makeup and the cheek colour that we've added, the blush, and also, of course, with her hair. Don't be afraid of wearing a vibrant lip colour like this if you've got white hair. I always think it's just so beautiful because you've got this wonderful hair colour and then a lovely red toned lipstick. Looks spectacular. Yvonne told me earlier that she gets lots of compliments about her hair. I think older women get really scared of letting the natural colour come through. They think it's going to make them look older. They think it's going to make them just look, I suppose, like their grannies used to look. And of course it doesn't. If you've got it beautifully cut, and we're going to style Yvonne's hair shortly, and you've got a gorgeous hairstyle, it looks wonderful. And people are often extremely jealous of somebody like Yvonne and the colour that she's got in her hair. It's just beautiful. However, I would say that the hair does have to be beautifully cut and the makeup does have to look right. And using the right colours and applying it in a nice, subtle way, as Linda is doing, just makes all the difference. And there we have it. I think you'll agree with me that that is an incredibly beautiful and pretty effect. So what's going to happen now is we're going to style Yvonne's hair using all the lovely White Hot Hair products, and then she's going to come back and we're going to see how she looks at the end.